everybody, and welcome to another brand new edition of T Watches a Scary Movie. My name is T, and we're talking scary movies. I appreciate all y'all tuning in, joining me for another brand new episode. I'm going to be completely honest. I didn't know for sure if I would be doing an episode this week. As I'm sure a lot of y'all have seen and heard, my doggo Jack, unexpectedly passed away early Sunday morning, and I've been going through the process with that there, and I really didn't know if I was going to be able to get through the episode here, just because, the one thing that horror is great, and it's weird because horror is very comforting to me. At night, like that's what I could ease down to, after a long day or at work and everything like that. When you're dealing with, actual loss and stuff, sometimes horror isn't the easiest to deal with, and especially with one of the movies that we're talking this week, the Platform, which is a very, very hard movie to get through, depending on where your mind's at and everything, but. I decided ultimately that, hey, I'm going to do my best. I'm going to power through. I got to do what I can because that's how we cope. That's how we get through. So I appreciate y'all doing this and tuning in every week. This helps me out, and I enjoy doing it for you. So thank y'all for checking out T Watch a Scary Movie. Keep in mind there are multiple places to catch our show. We are obviously here on YouTube. If you go to youtube.com/Theron Reynolds Scary Movie. Again, that's youtube.com/C/Theron Reynolds Scary Movie. You can get subscribed to the YouTube page, and you'll get alerts for when new episodes are going up. And we are also up on Podbean as well too, which means we are accessible through iTunes eventually. I am still trying to get all of that figured out, but we are on Podbean though. So the link to that is both in the both here in the YouTube description. It is also on the Facebook link that I put out too, which our Facebook page you should also know about there, because if you go to our Facebook page, you'll be able to get the links for things like our watch parties as well as the Podbean, so you can just listen as opposed to having to pull up the video here on YouTube, which you can listen to as well too. This is not a video episode, which I do promise y'all at one point I am going to get back, do some video episodes. Just unfortunately my work schedule this summer, as some of y'all personally know me, has just been out of this world. It's been ridiculous, and I just have not had the time to do a lot of video editing. I do think I am going to be bringing a producer on board here in the next couple months here. I've been doing a one-man show, obviously, for the longest time now, but I think we're getting to the point to where I don't know how realistic that can be for video sessions anymore here. So I am probably going to be bringing on a producer here, at least during the Halloween season, to help out with that, because I do want to produce things a little bit differently for y'all there. But if you go to the Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/T Scary Movie. Again, that's facebook.com/group/T Scary Movie. You'll be able to access links to things like our watch parties. Every Wednesday night, we do a watch party for one or two of the movies that we talked about in our episode. And then we're going to be getting back to TV watch parties here in the next month or two. Needed to take a break from it, just didn't have the free time for it. And then also, it is a bit of a measure because I like putting commercials and music videos and all that kind of stuff together for y'all as well too. We have so much fun stuff coming up though this fall, because it's almost like it's not even almost like, we have a bunch of movies that have TV show adaptations coming out. I mean, we got Day of the Dead, we got Chucky, we have oh god, what the hell, god damn it, and I can't even remember the rest there. But other stuff, I mean, Creepshow is coming back. Season 3 of Creepshow is coming back in September. We're gonna do Friday the 13th. I mean, we got so much stuff. We have so much stuff there based on movies coming here that we're gonna be doing. So that's gonna get really exciting. To join that though, go to facebook.com/groups/T Scary Movie. That's where all the information will be at there. So, as our summer of horror continues, I was looking for a couple of movies to talk about to continue our pace, because I'm also very specifically trying to avoid certain movies to talk about right now because we are so close to the Halloween season. And some of those, like, you just got to do. You got to do with the actual holiday itself. And you know the ones I'm talking about, okay? Like, I'm talking, like, our Nightmare on Elm Streets, our Friday the 13th, our Chucky's, all that kind of stuff there. Like, I hate like wrecking those. I hate wrecking those before the Halloween season, honestly, especially when we're this close to it. So I had to find two other ones to go with. And Shout Factory, or Scream Factory, whatever you want to call them. Scream Factory's their horror offshoot that's dedicated just towards that. Just put out a new release of Brotherhood of the Wolf. And a lot of y'all know about Brotherhood of the Wolf, which is really crazy actually to think of, that so many people, like so many of y'all, knew about this because number one, it's a foreign film. It's a French language film for sure there, but like it hit American box offices, but there's a lot of people like growing up, because this movie came out a while back there. A lot of people like growing up had never seen it before, and it's such an amazing film. I love this movie so much. But Scream Factory has a new version of this out there. And keep in mind, we've had a few releases of this already, okay? So we definitely have seen new releases of Brotherhood of the Wolf over the last couple of decades. It got like a 2-disc special edition release, and I think a Blu-ray release actually as well too. I know that my good friend Tori and me, we both have like the overseas Blu-ray version of it because we are so obsessed with it. But like the new version of it that Scream Factory put out there is pretty amazing. First of all, it's beautiful. Like, it's absolutely beautiful. And that's one thing that Scream Factory just does so well, is that they do have the ability to just put out much better looking versions of the of what they're putting out there. Now, with that being said, their subtitles are not great. This movie does have both an English language track and a French language track, but the thing is that if you know the way it should be watched, it's the French language is what you're going to watch. That is absolutely the best version of it that's out there. But the subtitles are kind of ass. They are missing some things on here. It's not great. Yeah, I won't lie. I'm a little bummed there because like it is an expensive Blu-ray. It's an expensive Blu-ray here. It's not a new transfer. While it's beautiful, it's not a new transfer or anything like that. I don't know. Like there's some improvement here. There's some improvements that definitely could have been made on this, but I guess I'm not necessarily upset because it is a beautiful Blu-ray. But it's not 4K, and that's what bums me out here. Is that like that means there's gonna have to be a 4K release at some point there, and I am super bummed about that there's not a 4K one, because yeah, that would be perfect on this here. But I digress. We want to talk more so about the movie itself. So, Brotherhood of the Wolf. Okay, this came out in 2001, directed by Christophe Gans, by the way. Now, if that name sounds familiar or doesn't sound familiar, the biggest American release that he's had that most people should be aware of is a little film called Silent Hill. Yes, that Silent Hill, the best video game adaptation out there. It is a fantastic film, really eerie, and definitely got some good horror in that one as well too. Obviously that came after this one here, but that's the only other one I would say that Christophe Gans is really known for over here. And what it talks about is Chevalier de Fronsac and his companion Mani of the Iroquois tribe are sent to investigate the mysterious slaughter of hundreds by an unknown creature in the province of Gavaudan, which, if that name sounds familiar, you know, Gavaudan is in history. There are a lot of stories coming up about werewolves and stuff like that, and hence the name Brotherhood of the Wolf as well. You know, obviously there's some ideas that this is definitely going to be a werewolf story. Now, it is an interesting film because it's mixing a lot of different styles together, because keep in mind, this is set as a historical piece or a classical piece. It's a or it's a what's it called? Oh God, I forget the word. But it's set in the 18th century there, and so you would think that you know what you're in for, like the kind of like weapons and stuff that they'll be using, the resources they have and stuff. But the idea is that all these killings are going on, and that basically, a knight of King Louis the 15th, I think it is, yeah, a knight of King Louis, Gregory de Fronsac, and his Iroquois companion Mani are sent to the province of Gavaudan to capture the beast responsible for all of these killings. Now, they have no idea what's going on, but Gregory eventually realizes that it can't be a wolf, okay? The type of injuries that all these victims are sustaining, and how the way they're brutalized, and the evidence that he's finding from all these murders, there's no way it could just be a typical wolf that's going around doing that. It's got to be something else. So he's trying to complete his investigation, and he's being hindered at every step by inept royal guards and local police. And ultimately, a lot of the information that he comes up with gets undermined to the point to where the king actually sends back a different investigator to basically force Gregory to make a farce of it and to act like the situation has been resolved when it really hasn't. Now, over the course of this film, we find there is a larger conspiracy at play. And even though this does beat out the 10-year rule, this is such a good film that I don't like ruining the surprises that come with this movie. Now, again, I said there's a lot of styles in this. This is definitely a mystery, and it's definitely a suspense thriller as well, too, because we do eventually realize that there does have to be some sort of human element involved in this, okay? Sure, there's an actual beast going around committing these murders. There's no question about that, because we get to see that. We get to see that a lot with a lot of our victims getting massacred by this beast. But we also soon find out, about halfway through the film, that there is some kind of human villain involved with this as well, too. And the movie does a really, really great job with this, trying to figure out who's behind it, because similar to actually Sleepy Hollow of all films there is a direct motivation behind all the killings that are occurring. If you recall, in Sleepy Hollow, and yes, I'm talking about the Tim Burton Sleepy Hollow with Johnny Depp in it, it wasn't as simple as, oh, local legend tells of a headless horseman that rides on a Halloween night and kills anybody that he comes across or anything. No, there is actually some conspiracy going on there with these murders and the people getting killed and the reasoning behind it. And without saying much more there is some of that at play here, what's going on in Brotherhood of the Wolf. Now, your enjoyment of this film is also based around your suspension among some of the elements in it. For example, there is not a heavy, but Mark Dacascos is one of our only American actors in the film that we're aware of there. And if you know Mark Dacascos, you know that he is a martial arts expert. He is a real martial artist, and that's what he's usually cast as in these movies, so you have an idea of what this role is being used for. And his character, Mani, who is an Iroquois warrior, does utilize martial arts. Now, have I done the research to find out whether or not martial arts was a big thing in France, in Europe at that time? There, I don't know for sure, because obviously martial arts existed, in Japan and in Korea and in China and places like that, around this time frame there. But whether or not it would make sense that a Native American would get that kind of training, that's a different story. But again, I don't know if that's something we're really gonna focus on having an issue with, but that is gonna be a big part of this movie, determining your enjoyment of it, I feel, as well, as the martial arts do play a big part in this. With that being said, man, The fight scenes that they have in here are quite fantastic, both with Monty and with Gregory de Fronzoc as well too. They both get some tremendous fight scenes in this film, both against the monster as well against some human foes as well too. And man, as a kid, I think that's a lot of reasons why. I think that's why I'm seeing a lot of you have seen this movie as well too, because I do remember the trailer as a kid highlighting the martial arts aspects a lot, to where it seemed like, oh man, this is almost like a Jackie Chan movie, just with a little bit of horror in there. So different, not even close to anything like that now. And speaking about the horror of the film itself, it is based completely around the beast. That is one thing to where I feel the movie does falter with, is that the horror elements of it are not based around the motivations of the killings. It's not based around our villains of the tale here. It is based 100% around the beast itself and the various killings that do take place. And I mean, the beast is vicious. It is deadly. And when we find out a lot about it, it changes a lot of our perception that we set up earlier on in the film with this monstrous beast that's going around. But that's really where all the horror lies at, is seeing when it hunts its numerous victims throughout the film and it's murdering them. Outside of that, it's not really that scary of a movie, and that's okay, because it's still, like I said, a very effective thriller. It's a very effective mystery as well, trying to figure out what's going on, who's involved in what as well too. And we're not skipping on a supporting cast as well. Vincent Cassel is in the film, who is, oh man, I love that guy. That dude is so good. Vincent Cassel is in the film, and also Monica Bellucci is in the film as well too. So we get some good credentials of people in this movie. Honestly, there's actually a few people in here who we just love watching on screen, and we're not let down by them. It's a bloody film for sure. They do not skip there on the blood or the gore that we're getting in this film. But it's also very tasteful. Like, I didn't feel that any of the death scenes that we got to see, any of the killings that went on there, I don't feel that they were ever like glorified. Like, this beast is a monster. You know, it's vicious. It's crazy, and it kills that way too. So everything seems relative to what's being presented on screen. It doesn't seem over the top in the least bit at all. Now, past that, it is very interesting, because I go back talking about the language tracks on it. Watching it in English really does take away a lot of the emotional impact of the film itself. A few of the deaths in it, a few of the relationships that are built throughout the film, it's much better to get it in its native French language track that it has there, because everything's normal. And yes, some of the actors do their own English language dub, like Vincent Cassel, Mark Dacascos, Monica Bellucci, all for sure did their own English language dubs in the film itself. I don't know about the rest of the cast, but I know those three definitely did do it. But you feel like you're missing something if you're just not watching it the way that it was truly intended to be. Outside of that, I won't lie, there are the animation of the beast, because most of it is CG, obviously. The CG does look dated. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean bad, okay? I don't necessarily mean bad, because the design of the beast is still really cool looking. I love the way it all came out, and especially when we learn more about it, by the end of the film there, a lot more of the way it looks ends up making sense as well, too. But I won't lie and say the CG doesn't come off a little bit dated here, looking at it in 2021, especially on this new Blu-ray, in the HD version that's out there right now. But this is a great watch. It really is a great watch. Again, if you're looking for a good mystery, a good suspense, a good whodunit, that does have a little bit of horror in it. It's bloody. It's got great fight scenes with it. You got great villains. You got even better heroes. And I've seen this also described a lot of times as a swashbuckling tale, almost like it's a tale for pirates, buccaneers, stuff like that. And I would agree. It's almost like, what's the one I'm thinking of? If you ever saw The Musketeer that came out like in the early 2000s, it's the Three Musketeers, but it's the Three Musketeers with Kung Fu. It's the Three Musketeers with like our late 90s, early 2000s martial arts in it that makes it cooler, because it's not just sword fighting. And I'd say that's very accurate for Brotherhood of the Wolf there, is that it's that late 90s, early 2000s fighting that was getting everybody in theaters to watch action movies and stuff. Definitely less of a horror movie than what it should be, but I love, again, just everything involved with this, because it's almost like nobody is good in this film. Nobody at all. And to wreck the motivation of a lot of these characters it'd be bad, because it's so good working out all the intricacies of everybody's motivation in this film for sure. So I would feel extremely bad about spoiling that kind of information for y'all. But what I will say is that it lingers, and there's stuff that even when I saw it, because I watched it over and over when I was a kid, and I rented it a bunch there. And there was stuff I didn't pick up because it's like, cool, there's a monster, there's boobies, there's martial arts, there's blood, like, all this is great. And as I watched it, as I kept getting older and older, it's like, God damn, there's some nuance in this, man. Like, these characters actually have like some good motivations behind all of their actions in there. So I'm excited to check it out with y'all. I would definitely say pick it up. I know a lot of you said you've seen this film. It's going for $30 right now through Scream Factory, and even though it's not a 4K release, it's still going to be the best version of it out there right now. If you can get the overseas version that has a better Dolby audio track on it, subtitles are better on it too, that's definitely the way you want to go, but it's not a bad version to use though. So check it out, Brotherhood of the Wolf. It is on Vudu, so you can definitely pick that up for a decent price. I believe it's only $10 on Vudu right now as well. Vudu Fandango now. Yeah, definitely worth it. And that brings us to our second and final movie of the evening, The Platform. So, some of y'all might have heard of this one. Some of y'all might have even checked this one out here. This was a 2019 Spanish science fiction horror film that came out through Netflix. And it got a lot of praise, quite a lot of praise. It's got an 80% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. It won the People's Choice Awards. Variety gave it some great reviews as well too. And then on top of that, because it came out in late 2019, like I want to say, because like it did get like a very small theatrical release, like because it was at a few film festivals and it got a release over in Spain because it is a Spanish language film, but it didn't hit Netflix for us until March of 2020. And you know what happened around mid-March 2020? We got our lockdowns. And so this film actually got pretty big because of the pandemic. And we talked a lot earlier this year about how 2020 was so big for horror. 2020 was humongous for horror because it ultimately gave an outlet for so many people who were struggling, and we got all these films that came out that people would have never seen in any other circumstance here, that they got to really enjoy. And The Platform was one of those. The idea here is that it's set in a large tower-style vertical self-management center, and its residents, who are switched every 30 days between its many floors, are fed via a platform which initially filled with food at the top floor. As it goes through all the levels and it stops for a fixed amount of time, is going to lead to conflicts, as residents can eat as much as they want on any level, perhaps saving or not saving for other residents on other levels. So it's basically almost like a prison. It is a prison there because, you're not going outside. You don't have all these, all these amenities that you get outside there or anything like that. Basically, you're stuck on this platform. You have a partner there with you, and you're waiting to get fed. Now, the idea is that everybody is in there for one reason or another, okay? Basically, our main character, Goring, he volunteered to do 6 months in this facility in exchange for getting a diploma. So getting that diploma is exactly like it is in the real world. It's like going to college. You get a chance at making better money, getting a better life for yourself there. And it sucks, but it's one of the easiest ways to go through doing this and not having to spend an ample amount of money, get stuck in debt, things like that. You're not going to be disabled by what comes with going to actual college or anything like that. So our main character decides to spend 6 months there in order to get this diploma. Now he wakes up with a cellmate, Trimagasi, who explains exactly how everything works. And it's specifically about the food here, that basically it comes down level by level and you gotta eat what's there. You don't get to be picky about it because you might be waiting a long time to eat for the next round. And keep in mind, you get traded levels every 30 days with no idea if you are going to a higher level or a lower level. And our residents don't know how many levels that there are. So if you end up at the very bottom, there might not be anything. We also find out that if you try to hoard food, if you try to keep any of it when the platform is gone, that your level is going to be heated or cooled to fatal temperatures until you get rid of that food. Whew. Yeah. Now you can already assume based on just that information alone what conflict could end up coming up because each level has 2 residents assigned to it there. Now, our residents are also able to bring 1 item with them, okay? The idea being that item can be whatever they want for whatever use that they want as well, too. Now, our main character, Goring, decided to bring a copy of Don Quixote. Makes sense. Good book. Something to keep him busy, something to keep him reading. Whereas his cellmate, Trimagasi, brought a self-sharpening knife. And he tells a story to Goring about when he was assigned to level 132, he and his former cellmate cannibalized a resident who fell down the shaft. Because remember, there is no doors, all right? I guess I didn't say it. There's no doors. There's no windows. The only way to move about in this prison, in this tower here, is through this platform, through the hole that the platform leaves there. And as the days continue on, they continue to see other residents who might ride this platform up and down. And it gets worse because obviously this film is not going to be set over just 1 month. We are going to see these characters deal with going to multiple different levels on this platform. And when you realize that 6 months when you're in these kind of conditions is not a short amount of time, then that's when the terror starts to set in. Because 6 months seems doable. 6 months is not a long amount of time, unless you're asking anti-vaxxers. Sorry, gotta say it. 6 months is not a lot of time. But here in this tower, 6 months is a lifetime because every month you end up on a different level. And depending on where you end up, that could determine whether or not you actually end up and live. Yeah. Whew. Now, this goes a lot into what humans will do for each other. And I hate how we had so much horror that came out and so many movies that came out that are reminiscent of the situations with humanity that we were dealing with in the real world. Like we just got done talking about the Forever Purge and how eerily similar that is the shit going on in our real world today. The platform is no different. The biggest core concept taken from this there is that the food that everybody's using is all pulled together. And those on top can choose to gorge themselves and overeat and take what's good for them and not worry about anybody else. So that basically when it starts getting to those lower levels, people might start killing each other over it. They might start eating each other over it. And we don't know how deep this tower truly goes. So there could be people who don't get food at all. So the idea is that the more that we can be kind to each other and look out to each other, the better a chance everybody has for survival. And obviously, that doesn't necessarily go this way. Now, from there's some good twist with this film, determining what's actually going on here. Because, yes, we start getting some ideas. Are they really in some kind of like community service here that you do this and then you get like diplomas or whatever you might want out of that? Could they really be in hell maybe? This is a version of hell or purgatory. Is it a government experiment? We don't know. Because remember, you got a movie like Cube out there that was doing the same thing, where they end up just in like what seems to be a never-ending fortress that's designed to basically kill them. And what's really the goal of this? Are you in here because you broke the law? Are there other reasons at play? Who knows, honestly? But I will say this film definitely can play with your, again, your visions on humanity and how that can end up working out, and your own mental health there with it too. Being isolated for this long plays into a lot of what a lot of us dealt with last year. It's a very, very powerful film. I really enjoyed it because it goes through phases as well too. Like the first like portion of the film, like we're not really that worried about what's going on because everything seems so lighthearted. Then things start getting troublesome. Then things get better for our characters. Then they get fucking insane. It goes through everything. This is one I'm definitely excited to watch with y'all because I am curious to see how everybody responds to it. That's The Platform. It's on Netflix. It's free to watch, y'all. We're going to check that out tonight, but we're checking both of these out tonight. We are watching The Platform and Brotherhood of the Wolf. So, I want to hear those thoughts. If you've seen The Platform, if you've seen Brotherhood of the Wolf, leave me some comments. Let me know what you thought about those films. I definitely want to hear whether you're watching that English language track or listening to the English language track or the French one there on Brotherhood of the Wolf. Guess what? The Platform is in Spanish, so we're not going to be listening to an English language track on this one. So, foreign language films for the win tonight. Y'all get on over to the Facebook groups. You can get the link for the watch party. I'm excited to watch a couple films with you here. I need it. It's cathartic. I appreciate y'all checking the episode out. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube page. Subscribe to us on Podbean as well, too. And subscribe to the Facebook group. That's going to do it for us, y'all. Make sure you're checking out some of our older episodes here. My name is T. We've been talking scary movies. Stay scared.